Dear viewers, welcome back to a new episode of Food Myths. Today I chose a topic that really gets me to be very, very furious every time I read an article talking about it negatively. It's something I really love in my food or my drink, and it's about something you consume, and it's widely consumed internationally, globally, and it has been always under a lot of misconceptions and myths about this thing. It's a cherry-like fruit. It looks like a cherry, so it's considered a berry, but the part that we consume is a seed, and we call it a bean, and probably by now you know what I'm talking about. It's coffee.
What exactly does coffee do to your brain? Whenever you're awake, a chemical called adenosine slowly accumulates in your brain, and this adenosine binds to receptors which slow down brain activity. Ultimately, the more adenosine there is, the more tired your brain feels, which makes sense as the longer you're awake, the more fatigued you become. Conversely, while you sleep, the concentration of adenosine declines, gradually promoting wakefulness. But it turns out that the caffeine in your coffee is incredibly similar to adenosine in structure. The caffeine works its way through your bloodstream and into your brain, where it starts to compete and binds with adenosine receptors. But because it's not adenosine, the sleepiness effect isn't felt. Adenosine can no longer bind, meaning its calming properties are diminished, which is great for you when you're feeling tired. However, with long-term use of caffeine, your brain responds by creating more adenosine receptors, which means more caffeine is required to elicit the same response. It also means that when you try to quit drinking coffee or miss your daily intake, you might experience some withdrawal symptoms and feel more tired than you would have before you ever drank coffee. But the caffeine doesn't stop there. It also stimulates the production of adrenaline, the fight or flight hormone. This increases your heart rate, gets your blood pumping, and even opens up your airways. Furthermore, it affects dopamine levels by preventing its reabsorption in the brain, which makes you feel happy. In fact, this is the exact same thing that cocaine does, just to a lesser degree. It's a drug after all. This dopamine stimulation is also the aspect of coffee that makes it moderately addictive. So, can you drink too much coffee? It turns out there is a lethal dose of caffeine, which is somewhere around 150 milligrams of caffeine per kilogram of your body. This means if you weigh 70 kilograms, you would require 14,000 milligrams of caffeine to overdose. Put into perspective, an average cup of coffee contains roughly 150 milligrams of caffeine, meaning if you're 70 kilograms, approximately 70 cups of coffee would kill you. However, you'd have to drink those cups all at once, making it effectively impossible to overdose on caffeine from coffee, since you wouldn't be able to physically fit that much in your stomach. You would also start experiencing mania and hallucinations before getting to this point. Caffeine also has a half-life of around 6 hours, so if you drank a standard coffee with around 150 milligrams of caffeine, after about 6 hours there'll only be 75 milligrams left in your system and you'll be feeling half of the effect. And 6 hours after that, you'll have 37.5 milligrams, leaving more room for adenosine to jump back into action, which is why you may reach for another cup throughout the day to maintain that glorious, alert, and energetic feeling. So drink up and enjoy the buzz while it lasts.
So today's beverage that has been accused repeatedly of many adverse effects or things that are not good for your health is coffee. Well, coffee, for your information, has 60% of the antioxidants that are the substances that help us fight against cancer. So it contributes alone 60% to our dietary antioxidants. So that means coffee is really not that bad. They claim it is. In this episode today, we shall be talking about the negative things. This does not mean coffee is like 100% the best thing you can drink, but it has a lot of also beneficial effects that we will be talking about. So coffee, depending on the type you choose to have, has different content of caffeine, and usually the culprit is caffeine. It depends on roasting the coffee, how much it's roasted. Temperature may affect the compounds and ingredients found in coffee. Also, it depends on the type of coffee. There's Arabica, there is another type of coffee. Well, again, the content of caffeine changes between the different breeds of coffee. But all in all, your average cup of coffee is usually enough to give you the health benefits of coffee. Stay tuned and we'll talk further about coffee. Welcome back to Food Myths, and I remind you we're talking about a very widely consumed beverage, which is coffee. In this part of the episode, I shall be talking about the negative side of coffee because I would like to end on a positive note. So, coffee is accused of causing prostate cancer. So all our male viewers would worry about that. Well, I would like to tell you, yes, it has been accused about causing prostate cancer, but these claims are not quite true. Older studies used to look into things and analyze things in a different way. As science advances, as the quality of studies advance, the diversity of looking at different numbers of people, different circumstances that accompany drinking coffee had proven that coffee is no longer associated with risks of prostate cancer. So you can enjoy your coffee without really worrying about that part. And remember, coffee has 60% of the antioxidants we usually have from diet, so it's likely to protect your prostate rather than harm your prostate. Again, in the 70s, there was a wide claim of coffee and linking it to breast cancer. And now, in the 1990s, the 2000s, it has been proven that the risk is very low and it will not affect your breast cancer, or it's not associated with developing your breast cancer. Coffee was also accused of causing bone fractures, which means if you don't have strong bones, it's due to coffee. If you hit something or you stumble on something and you fall and you break your bones, it's because of consumption of coffee. Well, guess what? Enjoy your coffee. It has no effect on bone fractures as such. Possibly with men, it's more even protective. It may be not drinking enough milk, but not drinking too much coffee. Stay tuned and we'll be back to you shortly. Dear viewers, welcome back to Food Myths, and we're talking about coffee. Here at Dasman Diabetes Institute, we always encourage people to have fresh food, fresh produce, and drink beverages, and we always recommend water. But coffee is again a very likable drink, and a lot of people like coffee, so we would like to put your minds to rest that coffee is not harmful. It's the calories that come from too much sugar or full cream milk that may affect your weight. It's the ingredients that are harmful, and you can't find them in coffee. Actually, caffeine, although it's always accused as a culprit, proved that it can help cardiovascular disease. A lot of people think that drinking too much coffee may harm our hearts, actually. But it has been shown that drinking moderate amount of coffees has even a positive effect on the heart. And what is moderate? It's 3 to 5 cups of coffee, which people think it's too much, but obviously it has a protective heart. Here at Dasman Diabetes Institute, we keep talking about diabetes, and we want to help clients and help Kuwait in really curbing diabetes, cutting on health risks of diabetes. Well, coffee was accused for a long time that it may induce diabetes. As a matter of fact, it has been shown that drinking coffee in moderation, and again that would be around 3 cups of coffee, cuts the risk of developing type 2 diabetes by around 47%. So even you, a person with diabetes, don't worry about your coffee. If you are at risk of developing diabetes, drinking 2 to 3 cups of coffee may help you not get the diabetes. Of course, along with other lifestyle improvements like eating a healthy diet, exercising a little bit, focusing more on fruits and vegetables rather than heavy meals, high caloric meals, a lot of raw sugar in your diet. Again, I would like to remind you that coffee also, although accused of dehydrating people, that means you lose a lot of fluid if you drink too much coffee. Well, it's clear that it does that, but it's not to an extent where you really don't have to drink coffee or refrain from coffee. Even athletes, it's safe for them to drink a cup of coffee even before starting their exercise. So on a positive note, enjoy your coffee and always think that healthy food and healthy beverage should be in your diet. Thank you.